Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you of my initial impressions of Black Ops 4 Blackout, which is the new Call of Duty Battle Royale mode. The beta just went live today. I've been playing it a ton today. So far, no solos, but lots of duos and squads. And this is not a full review, just my initial impressions from playing today. Also, there's a giveaway link down in the description to some Astro A40s if you want them. It's a very simple follow me on Twitter and Mixer, and you're entered and good to go. We're going to start off with the good, positive impressions today, but don't worry, there's going to be plenty of negative and bad ones and complaining about the potato graphics, which you are bearing witness to at this very moment. So first of all, this mode is super fun to play, like for reals. I don't know how else to express that. I don't know how to put enough feels in my voice to convey that it is a very fun mode to play, and I had a super good time playing it today. If you don't believe me, you can go back and watch my stream. My stream was a blast. It's one of the most fun I've had in a super long time. And maybe it's a honeymoon phase. Maybe it's because it's new and it's fresh and it'll wear down over some time and I'll find some things to complain about, and that's almost certainly true. But my initial impressions so far are very good. I like the overall concept of this game mode, the balance, the implementation, how everything works together is really good, and I'm kind of surprised that Treyarch was able to pull off this thing in such a short period of time, because we know that Blackout hasn't been worked on for that long. They're doing this to compete with PUBG and Fortnite, and it has that sort of air of desperation behind the marketing or whatever, but the game mode is really good. The wingsuit flying works, the vehicles work, the guns work, even the projectiles part of this. The gear is fun, the zombies fit the map well, looting works, it's not broken, the projectile bullets work, and they all mesh together to make a very reasonable and playable game mode. One of the things I do like about it is that it doesn't take itself very seriously. There's lots and lots of silly and fun stuff you can do with the vehicles, with some of the goofier pieces of equipment, with grappling hooks. You can try to tomahawk people, you can punch them with fists, you can try to throw monkey bombs at them and get zombies to attack them, you can fly helicopters, and yeah, there's like a lot of power weapons too, like a war machine, and you can pick up a ray gun or an MP40 from World at War, and those are really, really strong things. However, the balance around them is based on the rarity. Like, the war machine and ray gun are top tier murder weapons. They just shred everything on the map, but you don't get hardly any of those. I don't even think one of those is guaranteed to spawn in any given game. So far, I've seen one of each the entire time that I've played Blackout. And you can get grappling hooks, and you can get little RC cars, and just about every specialist ability, but they don't really seem broken or overpowered, and it hasn't yet become annoying. I guess as players get smarter, maybe that'll happen, but right now it's just making for really unique gameplay. I'm really having a lot of fun with the sensor dart and RC car, kind of scouting people out, but we'll see how it pans out in the future. One thing I do like about the game is that it's not really a looting simulator. You can loot for a long time, and I do because I'm a loot goblin. I'm obsessed with my inventory and items, but you can get decently looted relatively quickly and get ready to go fight. You don't have to loot for a long time like PUBG. You can just pick it up and go. The map itself is amazing. Well, sort of. We'll talk about the less amazing parts later, but it's over 1,000 times bigger than anything we've ever seen in COD, and that's not an exaggeration. It is ludicrous in scale. And I don't mean just pure like width, but verticality, rooms and buildings, corners, depth, terrain. I've never seen anything this complex in Call of Duty. All of the old locations are also treated well and with respect. They're in the right places, they look good, they play good. Each one of the maps, like firing range and raid or whatever, has been changed a little bit, but they feel reasonable given the context of where they're at in the game. Also, each one of the old maps has lots of Easter eggs and references to older Call of Duty games, so if you're a fan of the Black Ops series and you dig around these maps, especially the zombies ones, you'll find a lot of Easter eggs, like the teddy bears, or there's little switches you can hit to play original zombies music and stuff like that. What I'll call the outside areas of each map are particularly fun for me, because I catch people forgetting that there is an outside of Raid. They play Raid and they come in there and their brains hits this nostalgia and they're like, oh, I'm in Raid, I know this map, which is also really weird to play a new Battle Royale game and kind of know the map and terrain that you're in, even though you've never seen it before. But they kind of get stuck in this idea of, I'm going to play Raid like I'm playing Black Ops 2, Masters Division, League Play, or something like that. And I'm like, well, I'm going to play raid like the guy who jumps over the fence and walks around the entire back of the map and comes and shoots you because you think you're holding a spawn down. It's those type of engagements work well too. And I think the zombies areas are super fun, and the zombies are a nice touch. I will admit the zombies are a little bit glitchy at the moment, and they can get annoying in big gunfights, hectic, but that's kind of the point, and they're a constant threat and aggravation to you. But killing them and getting zombies gear is amazing. Zombies gear are generally some of the best weapons in the game. You want to get the zombie stuff as much as you possibly can, because the ray gun just shreks people. The vehicles are really fun to use, but not particularly safe. I would say only the cargo truck is the really strategically significant one. You can put your squad in the cargo truck, you can drive around, it has a lot of health, it moves at a pretty reasonable pace. The ATV is just sort of a death wagon, it's a get there fast and pray. Helicopter's fun, it's amazing to see the map with and just something that you can do in multiplayer. They do get shot down a lot, you tend not to fly too far before somebody shoots you down, and I've never won a helicopter engagement either. The boats are death traps, I tend to avoid them if possible. But the vehicles are mostly for goofing off. Like the cargo truck is probably for people that want to play seriously, and the rest of the vehicles are just like for having fun. And speaking of fun, I think the community's gonna have a lot of fun with Blackout, and I think they're really gonna take to this mode, despite the fact that there are some glaring flaws. The flaws that's probably glaring at you hardest in your face right now is the graphics. They're glaring at you like the jagged edges of 900p graphics with no anti-aliasing, and it just looks like potato mode. It looks like Modern Warfare 3 on Xbox 360. It's rough, and I can't deny that. I can't sit here and BS you and tell you that it looks smooth or anything. It's rougher. Now, to be fair, I am playing on a launch day regular PS4. I got this PS4 literally on launch. I got this PS4 before launch due to some deal with Sony or whatever. This is the oldest PS4 you can get. So my graphics experience may be different from some of you that have the Slim or that have the PS4 Pro, but at least on a regular PS4, this is an ugly mode. On the upside of things, the frame rate isn't bad. It's not 60 FPS. The frame rate is a clear not 60 FPS. I would say it's between 50 and 55 FPS. That's based purely on my feels. I don't really have the technology to test it. However, it's very consistent. Oddly, I think that frame rate is more consistent than their base multiplayer we played a couple of weeks back, but it's still not 60 FPS. It doesn't really bother me too much, but after playing 120 on PC, I do notice it. And the COD engine is really showing its age here just as much as Treyarch is showing their skill. This map, in theory, should not work. This mode should not be possible given the limitations of the engine that they're working with. And given those limitations, there are some really rough facts. The textures in Blackout are either simple or bad. They're either maybe like launch day PS4 or like last gen kind of textures, or they're just bad. The shadows are very simple. The resolution is clearly less than 1080, and there doesn't appear to be a lot of anti-aliasing, at least in some areas. When you drive around really fast in the vehicles, you have some focus or some blur that comes up to obscure the fact that it's not rendering enough stuff really fast. The render distance overall is pretty good though. You do see pretty much the entire map the whole time. The skybox is really low when you fly around in helicopters, but I think that's to keep the helicopters from being OP. Also less stuff to render in the sky. It is hard to see people at long ranges. They're a little bit hard to pick out. And trees literally load in like Minecraft trees sometimes. Like sometimes these trees load in and they're just downright hideous. They're just gross looking, to be perfectly honest with you. They're not beautiful, okay? I've seen grass and flowers load in literally looking like Minecraft, like just that blocky. To be fair though, it's still better than the Picasso buildings that you see on PUBG on Xbox, and this is a vastly superior experience to PUBG on Xbox. However, PUBG on Xbox set that bar really low, so that doesn't really say a whole lot. I want to see how much better this game runs on a PS4 Pro, so I actually went and bought a PS4 Pro so that I can test it tomorrow. I'm probably going to keep playing tonight on the regular PS4 and then test the PS4 Pro tomorrow, and I'm kind of wondering how it works on the Xbox One X, because the Xbox One X is a vastly superior console to all of the others, just hardware and power-wise, and if it's optimized well, it should run great, or even PC. What I'm really looking forward to is just to load this game up on PC and play it normally, and I think if the PC version works well, this game is going to be a hit. Some other, we'll say, more minor things, or maybe some bad things I'm not as certain about, is that there definitely are some control issues and control optimizations that I've had. The one you're going to run into immediately is that pressing and holding to pick up the loot and picking up the right loot at the right time is a little bit inconsistent. I would much rather have it tap to pick up, walk over to pick up, something like that. I think loot should also be easier to see, faster to pick up. The overall looting system could use a little bit of work. It's not even remotely bad. I've played a lot of Battle Royale games that have way worse systems, but it could use a little bit of work. The menus, which you use to manage all your gear, aren't bad either, but they could be improved. There definitely are some optimizations and some, let's say, not intuitive shortcuts. There are shortcuts. I actually won a game based on the menu shortcuts because I was tabbing back and was using all my grenades super quick, but they're not as intuitive as what I would have hoped for. So those could all probably use a little bit of improvement. Menus aren't bad, as basically your loot menu as well. I'm really hoping that when I play on PC, I can just drag and drop and then it'll be super, super simple. I will say when it comes down to actual like gunfights and gameplay, the armor is pretty ludicrous, especially if somebody has level 3 armor. They really become tanks more than they ever tanked in a heist mode, and they can actually pick up an overheal, so have 250 health and armor, and they can be extremely difficult to kill sometimes. There's also not a lot of places that really take advantage of the wingsuit after your initial deployment. You'll mostly use it to save yourself if you jump out of a helicopter, but you're not going to be diving off the dam or off the construction site very much, so it's almost a wasted feature, but then again, I don't think it's supposed to be a flying game. Also, the wingsuit deployment can be a little inconsistent. It's not as intuitive as I would have hoped. It works, but it's just not as straightforward. I'll probably have more negative thoughts over the next couple of days, especially about the gameplay as I play more and I get more gripes about it. But for now, most of my negatives are just about the potato graphics, which are really, really potato. The game is really fun. This is just hands down better than multiplayer. It just like almost objectively, this is way better than Black Ops 4 regular multiplayer. But it needs to be prettier and it needs to be brushed up significantly before launch to be like a worthy paid battle royale versus a free one. Guys, that's it for my initial impressions. I hope you enjoyed them. Hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.